Hello and welcome once again to JUnit series by One Test Solution. In this video, we'll get started into JUnit basics and we'll define first JUnit test. Coming to this standard convention, we should always try to define the package name by word test. For example, if we are working on banking application, so it's always preferred to define the name of the package by or the folder by bank app test. Second industry convention that we need to follow is at the end of every test method or the test script, we should write word test. We'll see why we have to do and what happens if we don't write keyword test. Another convention that we need to keep in mind is the name of the test method should be descriptive so that while doing the debugging or the root cause analysis, we should understand why this test has been made for. So let's flip to Eclipse, and this is the program that we will work in this video. It's a simple banking program. What it does, it has three operations. One is get balance, that returns the account balance of the customer. Then there is another method called as withdraw. It throws an exception called as insufficient funds exception when a customer tries to withdraw an amount which is greater than the account balance, or else when the amount is within the limit, it will reduce the balance by that amount and amount will be withdrawn. The third method that we have in this program is deposit. What it does, it deposits the funds to an account. Then there is one exception class which has the implementation of insufficient funds exception. So let's go ahead and get started in defining the test. So what I will do is I will create another folder, or we'll create a new project. In fact, we'll call this as a Java project, and I will write here bank program test. On next, go with the default options, finish. Okay, so I have this test project setup where I will go ahead and write the unit test. So first thing that we need to do is we need to associate this banking program to this folder. So right click on this test folder where we are planning to write our test and click on build path, then configure build path. There select an option called as projects, add, and add the reference to this project because we will be writing a unit test for the banking program. Click on OK. Okay, now my source is all set up. What I will do is in the source, I will go ahead and create a new class. I will write here bank tests. Click on finish. Okay, now we have to define the test. So what I will do is the first test that I want to write is I want to, for example, if you look at this, the first test that we can make is the what it does, this program, for each new object, or let's say there is an object for this bank customer called as customer 1. What it will do is it will set the balance to 0. I want to test this particular constructor, so I'm going to write a unit test for this. So what I will do is, in order to define the unit test, we have to use annotation @test, and I will define a method public void initial balance test is okay, initial balance is 0. I will use this test in the last. Okay, and this is my test method where I'm going to write the business logic to test that initial balance should be 0. we have to add the JUnit library to the build path. Just mouse over on the test and you will see this option, click on add. Okay, now my this test method is all set to get started with my first test. So what I'm going to do is I will go ahead and make an object of bank operation class, bank operation. Let's say I will call this as customer, or customer is equals to new bank operation, bank operation. Now what we need to test is, okay, we have to import this bank operation class. So import this package here. Now what I will do is I will write assert equals, and it takes 3 arguments. First one, the error message in case of failure, and then expected value, and then actual value. So here I will write initial balance is not 0 in case of failure. I'm expecting this error message. Here I'm expecting an initial balance of 0. Then the actual, I will write, for actuals I will write customer dot get balance. So the moment you will write the object and dot operator, you will see the method that it has. So we'll write something like this. For example, customer dot, it will show all the messages. So depositor is the method which is available in bank operation class. Then get balance is another method, and then there is one more method, deposit. Okay, so I will write get balance, and if you see, this method returns an integer, so get balance. Okay, now assert equals is throwing an error, so let's go ahead and import class for this. Not imported. Now my first test is ready to go. In order to run this test, simply right click and choose this option, run as JUnit test. Click on it, click on OK, and you will see here the bottom, this bank test runner JUnit, it took 0.002 seconds. If you expand this here, you will see the name of the test that has been executed. Initial balance is 0 test, and this test is pass. When the test passes, we see it turns green. Okay, so this is how we can write a simple test in JUnit. Let's try to write another little complicated test. For example, let's try to test this method, deposit. Okay, what this method does it, whatever amount we pass on this as a parameter, it increases the balance by that amount. Okay, so I'm going to write another test here. In order to define the test, I will write annotation @test, then we'll define a method public void. I will write the name of the test little descriptive. So let's say when making a deposit, balance increases by that amount. Okay, and what I will do here is I will create an object of bank operation class. Let's say customer is equals to new bank operation, and using this customer object, hold on, that's throwing an error, sorry, it should be small. Using this customer object, I will call deposit method, deposit, and I will enter the amount, let's say $1,000. Now I will go ahead and assert equals equals, I will write the failure message here. For example, account balance is not correct. And what is the amount that we are expecting after deposit? We know for the fact we have tested this method already that initial balance is always 0, and this test was passed. So once we make this $1,000 deposit, the amount that we are expecting should be 1,000. So expected is $1,000, and here we'll go ahead and call get balance method dot get balance. And as a convention, we have to use word test in the last. So I will go ahead and run both the test here, JUnit test. Okay, now you see both this test passes. In order to run both, what we need to do is just right click here, run as JUnit test. Okay, I just clicked, I just right click on this test, so this particular test has ran. But if you want to run all, either you run at the class level or you can run from here. So if you see, both the test has been executed successfully. Now one thing that we need to notice here is the order of the execution is whatever comes first has been executed first. Let's make some change here. What I will do is I will remove this word test from here, and I will remove the key test word from here as well. Let's see what happens now. Click run on test. Okay, now you see this test which is coming second was executed first, and that's the reason it's always recommended to end the test by keyword test, which helps JUnit to execute the test in sequential order. It's not mandatory to do that because we can always control the execution flow by some different annotations and mechanism. But again, it's an industry standard to use word test in the last. Okay, so this is how we can write a simple unit test in JUnit. There are a lot more things to talk about it. There are a lot of different annotations that we will see over the period of time. Now let's try to make another test. I will make this time a Selenium test or a Selenium WebDriver test. Okay, so I will create a new class. I will call this class as Selenium Test. Okay, now what we need to do is, in order to write the Selenium WebDriver test, we have to first import the jar files. So what you can do is go to Google and search for Selenium HQ, and here you will see an option called as downloads. You can go ahead and download the jar files. We are writing the code in Eclipse, so we can go ahead and download this one. It will download all the jar files that are required to do the automation with Selenium WebDrivers. You simply go ahead and extract this. I have already saved in my documents folder, so I will directly use that. Okay, so what first of all we need to do is we have to import all the Selenium jar files, Selenium WebDriver jar files, so that we can go ahead and write WebDriver test. So what I will do is right click here, go to build path, configure build path, go to libraries, add external jars, and I have saved all that in my documents. It's right here. Click on this and you see there are two jar files which are present here, and there are a lot of jar files which are in this folder. So we have to make sure we import both the add jar files at both the places. So first I will select these two jars, and then later I will add another jar files as external. Now I will select all these jar files. Okay, now all the jar files has been added to my folder. Now next thing that we need to do is, in order to write the Selenium test, we have to install some add-ins or extensions that will allow us to find out the control IDs which we have to utilize in writing the WebDriver script. Okay, so let's start looking at that. So what I will do is, okay, so here I will go and write first test, let's say the rate test, and what I will do is basically I will go to onetestsolution.com and I will go ahead and click on this link, coded UI test automation. Okay, so what we need to do is we have to create, let's say we have to create an element or a driver object. For example, I want to test this application, let's say on Firefox. Okay, let me make a test, and what my test is going to do is void going to test whether coded UI course is available on the website or not. So is coded UI course available test. Okay. And I want to run this test in Firefox. So what I will do is I will create a Firefox driver object, say Firefox driver is equals to new Firefox driver, So you have to import this class here. Next thing what I will do is I will use a method called as get. What it will do it will navigate to the URL. So I want to navigate to site http://onetestsolution.com. Then I have to find this element coded UI automation testing. So we need to extract the property by which we will identify this control. So just right click on this and do inspect element, and you will see here the ID is LNK course title 4. So I can use this property to identify my control. So I will use ID here and write driver dot find elements, and by dot I want to use ID, and here I have to give ID, and the ID was LNK course title 4. So go ahead and write that K course title 4, and I will use a method click which will click on that link. Okay, now we can always go ahead and do the assert. Okay, here I have to import this as well. So now this is my WebDriver test ready. There is a lot more we can do. So in this course, our intent is not to learn the Selenium WebDriver. Our focus is how to use JUnit. Okay, so this is one of the example where we can This is how we can write our WebDriver test as well. So simply right click on this and run JUnit. So what it will do is it will launch a Firefox driver and it will click on coded UI link. Okay, it launches the browser and it clicked on coded UI course link. Okay, so this test is pass. Let's go ahead and look at JUnit. Okay, so this test ran successfully and it's pass. Okay, so we have seen the implementation of the standard convention that we have to use word test. Then we created the first JUnit test. It was a unit test. So what the precondition was, we had to configure the source to the test project for unit testing. We had created the initial balance test 0, where it was validating where all the new accounts must have the account balance of 0. We had used assert equals to do the validation. It takes 3 arguments. First is the error message in case of failure. Second parameter is expected value, and the third one is get balance. Third one is actual value. Then the second test that we saw was to test the deposit method, which actually adds the amount to the account balance. Next, we have seen how to write the Selenium WebDriver test in JUnit. Precondition for that, to configure the WebDriver jar files to the project that we can download from Selenium HQ site, and we have to configure those jar files to the build path. And we wrote the simple WebDriver scripts. That's all for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please go ahead and subscribe our channel for the latest updates.